4, presently has 44 branches, and has been one of our proud partners. You are proud. Talents. For those of you series before, there is an open mic between featured poets.
experience with texts and pages and the probability of what's out there, right? It is a slanted and destabilizing function. Letting people know that it is a skill building so that they become lifelong learners, period. Like, in the years that I've taught, students have asked, what's the point? And I've always said, you decide that part when you get out of my classroom. I'm just here to guide you through the stuff. It's your job to figure out how you're going to use it later. And most students are like, I'm still not going to read it. And my response was, well, it'll sneak up on you. And then by the end of the year, I've got them. And then they like it, and then I get to call them nerds. And they're okay with it. So, a couple of my students are here. Woo! So kids, get together. Okay, so the educator part, yes. The writer part, yes. The activist part, I have a 5-year-old, so that part of me comes out every once in a while. In October, just after the latest amount of activities in Gaza occurred, I was asked to read with Kaitlin Rizzo at a vigil that was held at Võ Đức Quang Plaza. And so I was asked to read, and so I wrote a new piece. I'm still tooling with it, but this is the piece. This should take up my 6 minutes in this part. It's called El Olivo. Spanish olivo is olive, reference to an olive tree. The vigil that night, in the dark, at Võ Đức Quang Plaza, full moon, and a bunch of beautiful souls spending time reminiscing on spirits and names and those fall. I can tell you about the death of a child. A blackout around me, a gray I never get over, a rotting spot. I hang my head low. I see what other children do when one of their own dies. They go find a flower their friend like scratch out, likes. They pull it apart. They take the petals, all the leaves, say, from a carnation, say, a daisy. They place them in books, the heavy ones, a few of the good books, press them in pages, place them on shelves, wait a while. That way, we can hold them in scrapbooks, remember them. This was a week ago. We lost a girl, a quiet mouse, a dreaming student, just as war begins again in Palestine. And now, on a Sunday, a bright day, another student dies, a boy. I can picture them both, a smile, so I hang my head low, wondering, the child calls me. What can I do? This child says, my mother told me to light a candle and talk to the spirits, tell them it is okay to move on, ask them for forgiveness, then wish them well. I do this. I light all the candles I can. I don't know if this light is enough. I am told there are more bombs dropped in Gaza in 3 weeks than there are hospitals to take in children. All I want to do is go quick, rush to remember them, buy an olive tree, because in Gaza there might not be any more. Buy an olive tree and strip it of all its leaves, one for every child buried unmarked, buried in the rubble. Take an olive leaf, Place it in a heavy book. Press it between the pages, one leaf per book. Make a whole damn library. Pressed leaves to remember children. Make one library bright. Light candles at the base of this building, this altar. A memory, a whisper of names I've never said before, and pray that someone remembers them besides me. I remember where I live, that someone wants me to be quiet. Someone or many ones want to burn these books as well, ban all of this, all of us. There are people who want us all ash, all dust. Remember to whisper the names of children, to hold them close, to carry anyone who is injured, lift them into the sky, keep harm away, scream about the same thorns, the same fires, the same family erased. Remember the smell of olives, the green, the waxy way an olive leaf bends, how an olive tree mourns a war. Remember the way the world watches children they want to forget, but don't forget ever that we are seeds, and the branches, a reminder, every season, every child is a bloom. Muchas gracias.
No words after that. It's probably very fitting that our last feature, that I should introduce our last featured poet after your poem. Moroccan-Palestinian-American poet, writer, scholar, and editor Raneem Bakir Alia was born and raised in Texas and lived abroad during her adolescence. Alia's research is centered on North African and Middle Eastern history, liberation, and anti-colonial movements, analyzed through a gendered lens. Her writing, informed by her research, explores grief, family, girlhood, and the things we inherit through our matrilineal, willingly or otherwise. In 2020, Bakir Alia was awarded a Mellon Research Scholar Fellowship funded by the Andrew W. Mellon Foundation to continue her research on revolution, liberation, and gender view of identity formation in the Moroccan liberation movement. She is formerly a poet and prose editor at Glass Mountain Magazine, the undergraduate literary magazine at the University of Houston. May I present Raneem Bakir Alia. Now, this will not be the first time this season we'll get to see you, because one of your works was also selected for, I know I'm bringing out everyone's skeletons in their closet, will be featured in April's Real Poetry International Film Festival. You can find more You can find more information on that. I was plugging both her and the festival. You can find more information on the table there, but I guess the reading series and then next month of Real Poetry, what is your thought now that you're sharing your work with the public, and especially during this time of the conflict that's raging?
Can you guys hear me? Okay, can you hear me now? Okay, I'll just stand like this. To answer Kwang's question, I was actually thinking a lot about what Kaitlin said about finding the right time to publish. I still feel underqualified to have my work in print. And I suppose engaging in these spaces has helped, interacting with other poets, hearing their thoughts. I don't know that there's an answer necessarily. I don't feel ready, but I do feel encouraged in these spaces more so than when I sit alone critiquing my writing for hours on end. straight to public poetry because it's giving me opportunities I didn't even know I was allowed to apply for. So, yes, the first poem I'm going to read is actually about my father, and it's about my questions relating to him and Palestine. It's the first time I've ever written about him, and I'm not entirely thrilled with it yet, but I will read it. It's titled, A Child Missing. The first time my father told me of his past, I was 17 and desperate. Baba doesn't tell a story often, but when he does, it is brutal. That is to say, his stories were a fading echo, and I, a raging wind, racing to catch the sound, and just as it enters my reach, I snuff it out. I know small fragments, and I've spent meticulous hours crafting his story, gently carrying with me bookends of his life, placing them precariously at points in the timeline. I'm an archive a third of the way full, and even then, that's a gamble. Occasionally, I catch new glimpses in monotonous moments. He's eating a sandwich. What are your memories of school? We're stuck in traffic. How old were you when you left Palestine? He's writing an email. How difficult was it when you left it all behind? He's drinking his morning tea with Maria. Why does your Arabic sound different to your sister's? An answer is expensive and hard to come by. Most times I'm met with a wry smile, a shake of his head, a mumble for quiet. He's on guard and I'm a thief, taking what I want, what I feel and hold. My wonder is not amusing, it is anger unfurled. His silence is all I've inherited, and still I insist there is something of note. That the life of a seemingly insignificant Palestinian boy, a child of a village whose name is an unwelcome intrusion into a well-crafted home, built atop illusion upon illusion upon illusion, and still, it is mine. It is my inheritance. I don't know that he knows the ground from the sky. His head has not looked down once, did not acknowledge my cries. And perhaps if he had, he would have seen his daughter fading. So this second poem is a shorter poem, and it's about the experience of craving the relationship with someone who you could not have met because your lives were parallel, as someone is passing away, another is born, and you spend your life sort of in the shadows of their memory. And so this poem is about that. It's titled, I Wish. Though I did not know you, my favorite pastime was often pondering what you said. Why did you come as I'm about to go? A light hue where my words were, no sound came. In the meantime, you died. I visit your house each summer, a brilliant shade of salmon pink and white, the withering acreage of shrubs, downright stomped through with the dirt prints of newcomers. I wish sensations could be forgotten. Like remembrance of sadness, it should be buried in history and never resurrected. I could forget this hot heat, a thing rotten and festering, a body being carried. I wish I could recall instead your eyes.
That was just Rod reminding our open mic participants to speak into the mic when you read. And now I'm going to take some time to stall. If anyone got here and they have not signed up for open mic, the sign up is right on our table there. And along with that, there are flyers, which you are free to take, of the Rio Poetry International Film Festival, as well as we have copies of the recent anthologies released by Public Poetry, Habits, Poems, and Wicked Wit Poems. They're collections by writers from all across the country, right? And you can get those for a small donation. If you're participating in open mic, we ask that you read one poem each so that you'll come back. You'll come back and you'll read for us, and you'll be in our hearts. The reason I wanted to mention that also is coming back to the A-Leaf Library brings back a lot of memories. The old A-Leaf Library down the street is actually where I learned my craft of making poems, sitting in the library aisle, right? Reading John Keats, reading Edna St. Vincent Millay, T.S. Eliot, Dylan Thomas, and Lee Young Lee. And one day in senior year, there was I noticed the conference door open, and I walked in, and Fran was standing at the podium, and I sat down. I thought, oh, this is interesting. Never been to a poetry reading before. So 10 years ago, I entered public poetry as a participant, and now I get to host it. So thank you, Fran. Of course, I also snatched up a pocket-sized edition of the Random House Treasury of Favorite Love Poems because I was trying to impress someone at the time. I think I memorized William Shakespeare's 18th sonnet, right? Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May. And it worked. So that's the trick for all of you who want to know. What goes into someone's heart? A poetry. So let me get the open mic sheet. If I can invite our first reader, David Garvin. David? You know, David, the fact that your list is so long means that there are problems, right? There are definitely a lot of problems we have to take care of.
Thank you. This is a political rant right here, a revolutionary invocation. Dr. Angela Y. Davis, Rosa Luxemburg, Audre Lorde, Assata Shakur. Yes, freedom is a constant struggle between parallels and possibilities. What grows through wreckage? It is not taboo to fetch what is at risk of being left behind. A strong future cannot be separate from seeking knowledge of the past. Another world is possible. Indeed, when I listen closely, I can hear her approaching, and she is angry.
Thank you, David. Thank you. Sincerely. At the time when public poetry came to A-Leaf the first time, the Syrian conflict was going on in Aleppo, and I think it was just after that bombing of the chemical weapons, and we thought we were doing something about it, and now we are, once again, this time almost 10 years later, in Gaza. And it seems like, I once mentioned this during a reading, one of our readers apologized for reading a poem about a conflict that had passed. And I said, no. It's a matter of conscience. And if we as poets and writers are not the ones reminding those in the news cycle, right? Reminding those that these things are going on, then who else? Because it's not the latest thing, it's not the newest thing. May I now invite Jose Chapa Val. I heard through the grapevine, Jose, that you have a chapbook or a book out? What is it called again? Just happen to mention it right here.
How's this, folks? It's good? Yeah? All right, thank you.
Beautiful event, beautiful location. I've never been here before. I'm very happy to be here. I do have a book published in 2020 called Notes from the Last Stage. It's a poetry book. That's my first in English, but I grew up in Mexico. I've only been back in the States since 2011. So it took me 10 years, give or take, to do my first book in English. And I'd like to read a poem today from a chapbook that's in progress. Just a bunch of poems that I wrote for my son when he was in the NICU after arriving. He was there for about 2 weeks. So I just wrote a bunch for him every day until he got home. It's called Unalienable. The baby warming, heart rate measuring scale and phototherapy device, otherwise known as spaceship, has this written on a label with your name. I prefer to be swaddled. Someone really thinks that about you, or that's what they want you to prefer. You writhe from the blanket, tussle, groan, fight, little tube trembling in your nose, beanie falling free to reveal a fully wet head of hair, soaked, irrevocable. The light shines above you, so under your radiance, like I am, and this hospital is, full of voices grasping for some exact combination of words, clipboards issuing recommendations to look at the sun as it bounces off the moon, also under your radiance. We clearly see it for the first time, as do the doctors and the nurses. You chose us, this place, and you will not be denied. All right, folks, thanks. There's no gap.
Last time, Jose, you've only recently moved to Houston, yes?
I've been in Houston about 6 years.
What I meant to say was we haven't met each other in 6 years. That's what I really meant. But I'm glad you're here now. May I invite Miss Chav? Leanne?
My lights haven't just stopped working right now.
You got this.
Do not worry. My name is Võ Chat, and thank you, Mr. Mendez, for being such a great teacher. This is my second time speaking for a public function. Thank you, everyone. I try my best to be good, to be kind. I attempt to love everything, but I have this horrible ache in my heart. It scorches it, and I can't bear the thought of this flame inside me. I'm succumbing it, pushing it down so I don't tear everyone else apart. I'm scared I'll burn too brightly. I'll leave burn marks on their hands. I'd like to get rid of that illogical fear. I would like to be confident. If I chose my own peace over others, how would I get rid of that guilt lodged in my chest? How would I survive being the sole reason I didn't want to? Now my hands are trembling. An earthquake erupting inside me. An earthquake that could set a volcano off. But my tears sizzle the lava into rocks before it wreaks havoc. Now I am only left with those same jagged black rocks in my throat, preventing me from saying what I want. I am only left with a bucket of tears to put out this monstrous flaming heart. Thank you.
I think the last time Ms. Chap had a chance to read for us, probably 6 months, or almost close to a year now. I thank her, and I hope that one day she would come back. And sure enough, she has graced us again with her presence, and wonderful instructors like Lupe Mendez who continue to find young talents and poets, if not who would I introduce, right? Okay, so thank you for giving me employment, Lupe Mendez. May I invite Donnie Moreland?
You want to hear me? Yeah, fantastic. First time here about this event. I'm a sexual health educator. We're based out of Minnesota, also storyteller here in Houston. And I wrote this poem for my daughter, the same parent. She's not with me today, but I was thinking if there was words I had for her when she was you all's age, what would that be? So I wrote this. It's called Pops. I be thinking that sometimes I don't know how to do daddy. Lunch meals, a mailbox with new insurance premium, homemade peanut butter crunch, no jelly today, milk and dress shoes for Sunday service, but we don't go to church, and breast milk and whiskey, and I used to play video games with you on my lap. I don't drink whiskey no more, and margarita with a friend, and I'm still sucking on sour, lemon shots of petrol, change for gas money deep off the glove compartment, compartmentalized sticky notes under gummy leftover shoestrings from play dates. First one says, you deserve better from both of us, but I can only speak for myself. And here's a lesson. Bitter puts you in the grave first. But you, cars, Paw Patrol, don't talk to police. Frozen margaritas with a friend. 8:32 a.m. text message reads as follows. Donnie, when I hugged you, goodbye last night, I felt your love in your heart. You're a big teddy bear, and it took joy for you to understand what true love is. Your hate is holding back all that love. Love, love, joy, 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 baby. Baby, don't grow up too fast. Airplanes go zoom when you try to get a Dodge, and strollers move slower when you stop pushing. Strollers stop moving when you Google adoption. Baby joy, when did you start making up your own boogie down in the roots of yellow jasmine, and Negroes did spit tobacco on southern magnolias, Carolina whistle when I remember joy, 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 don't grow up too fast. Slow up in your pronunciation. You talk too good for two. 4 years ago, I'd be thinking sometimes I don't want to be a daddy. Pissed and roll up on a throw blanket, pissed, no sleep, throw a tantrum, fit, new clothes fit, fist, I'll hit anyone if they have a touch, throw it out, but she don't want to eat it, she's stumbling, carrying car seats, suitcases, backpacks, and back to the ropes, tossed to the turnbuckle, and around, and there's no one there to tag in. But it's okay. We've had plenty of daddy-daughter tag team bouts, but the baby he'll turn, the story time is on the line. And I'm sorry for every day you came second. I didn't think I could do this by myself. 2 controllers came with the system, but 1 player is all you need to beat the top scorer. No bracket, winnings, leaderboards, soft board, red sand, red clay, red lights in the arcade. When you realize this ain't a game, still you can't find the quarters anyway. Spent everything at the concessions when I took you to see that picture show. Don't remember the name. Kept my eyes on you, squirrel nibbling on that popcorn, Papa Bear, green tea with honey. Honey, thank you for the blanket, little bear. Daddy's a bit tired, bear with me. You've been grown up so fast. Joy, baby, I'm still trying to catch my breath.
Now that I have your email address, I'll be sure to send you more info. Because, well, what a great segue. Next month, at the end of this month, because Real Poetry will be at the first week of April, we're moving the online reading to the end of this month, March 30th. So it'll be Saturday, March 30th at 2 p.m. online. Join us. Let's see here. We have quite a few things. So why don't we invert the order of our readers so that we get to finish off with Jeremy. So may I invite back Raneem? I know that way you have to go before Lupe Mendez, right? Put some pressure on him.
Okay, this is good. Good. Okay. All right. Okay. I have another 2 poems. to read. And this one is generational, at least in its attempt. Whether or not it relays, we'll see. It's titled A Quiet Life. I aim to have dinner ready by the time she gets home, a timed dance walking between two walls, inching closer together, and still I'm unmoved by the desperation. The house is silent, the sound of the empty driveway gives me the memories that don't belong to me. I have only been cooking for a hair's breadth, and yet still ambitious, demanding of skills I have not earned. In a kitchen across the Atlantic sits a countertop, patiently waiting for hands that have long since stilled. The smell of her morning bread is holed in the cracks of the grout. Even the ants have questioned their loyalty to a forgotten window overlooking a once flowered worktop. There is no shortcut to time, only discipline, only the insistence that grievances fade slowly. I am still wrapped in the frustration of youth, 24 years of age, and our eyes witnessing a release and a breaking, a frustration expanding. Did you spare me your grief? You, the sister of a ghost. I am older than the brother I never met, and I'm sorry for your loss. Words that I never said. A mother I never met wept for a man I never met who loved a girl whose hands I could draw. I'm sorry again, what a loss. The dreams of drowning were an omen of a loss carried down. My mother warned me, I cannot swim after you in the sea. Water makes a chasm of an inch. I did not know we ventured into a grave, and I'm sorry again. At 16, you, a nurse in training, a ship enters the harbor of Casablanca for the final time. A deed is done in the name of the freedom you will have. A rush of classes, demands of a budding life, a giddy joy amidst a growing cry for a Morocco free, a chant you shout in the streets. The brother hasn't much time, a quick trip, persistent to see you. The dinner I'm making is rushed, and the time he waited slipped through like the sound of his name, Kabidou. One more time. Say his name one more time so that he may swim up. A name is a wave receding, and your feet do not venture past the sand. I'm sorry again, what a loss. I have asked after him to your daughter, asked why my memories bear no mention of a man who haunted her, and I know even as I ask that it's a lie. My mother reminds me of her warnings, love the sea but live to fear it, and I know even as I reach the table, the food plated, that I know a story of a sister in grief, of a grandmother buried in a cemetery, of a brother resting in the Atlantic, of a daughter rushing to prepare her mother a dinner, is the lie of a quiet life, unburdened by its cost. I'm sorry for your loss. Okay. Okay. All right. This one is about spring, sort of, or about rain. It's titled, A Thunderstorm is Expected to Hit Houston Early in the Week. I went to the movie theaters on a Tuesday, and later I could not tell you what I saw, except that it was raining as I walked out. Pouring in the way I imagined cinema demands. It was mid-afternoon. The sky was colorless. My hands were soaked as I searched for my keys, my glasses holding on to the aftermath. I stopped midway to my car, hairline now soaked. I turned back toward the double doors, then at the empty outdoor tables of the restaurant, the pools forming in their creases. Impatient. I wanted it to fill up. I wanted the water to gather in the chairs. I wanted to run toward something that could drown me. I wanted the parking lot to be grass. I wanted lush green. I wanted wilted. I wanted for it to mean something, for it to announce something. Instead, I walked slowly to my car, drove home, and sat in my driveway. Sat as the rain pelted with persistence, as I imagined how many droplets it takes to fill up a lawn. Afterwards, when my mother asks after the movie, I play her instead my recording of the rain hitting the car. Thank you.
So again, next month, Raneem will be at Real Poetry. So please stop by for the in-person so you can see her film poem. Speaking of, Lupe Mendez, I realize you're also at Real Poetry. So, so yes, so I'm telling you, I have to say this. It's a fact. It's not a compliment. But Lupe Mendez has been so supportive of Houston's poets, not just during his time as Texas Poet Laureate, but even before. And many of us regard him as a teacher. So again, I'm just so grateful that you're here with us. Lupe Mendez.
Give it up for your host. It is not an easy job to host events, and so you're doing.
Shout out to Jose Champabaye. It is good to see you, everyone. It's been quite a while. Jose's a poet out of the Rio Grande Valley. We met many moons ago. Beautiful work then, beautiful work now. We'll talk after this because plans. Sorry, plans. And then shout out to Liana was selected out of 165 students last year. She is currently a 9th grade student at the High School for Performing and Visual Arts in the Creative Writing Department. Our department, that first class is 28 students, and so we're lucky to have her. And that's not a poem from class, so that's really good. Good job, kids. Extra credit. If I gave extra credit. Anyway, so 2 pieces. This one is My Father's Prayer. My Father's Prayer is a spell he's never whispered before. He hasn't read a book with a Dios in it. I see him make the sign of the cross. Gracias te doy, gran Señor. As we drive past the churches at night, heading home from a bar, perhaps he remembers a tristeza, algo exilio, al lado de tu gran poder, traces the photographs in an album, collects MoneyGram receipts sent home, grows the chili piquin in the backyard, con el alma en el cuerpo, sings a Jose Alfredo Jimenez rola, eats with his hands on a hot plate when the weather chills his bones. Me has dejado amanecer. He goes quiet. This too must be prayer. Así te pido, Señor, que me dejes anochecer. He tells me he speaks to my mother, en gracia y en servicio tuyo. And he leaves the house, presses a kiss to his fingers, then 2 fingers to her photo on the altar, asks for blessings. Sin negarte a ofender, puts a hand on his nieta. He doesn't say a word. The wind, though, rattles branches, every leaf on a lemon tree. Amen. Amen. All my stuff is kind of heavy on this one. This is the first time I've been asked to be the keynote at like this Spanish Honor Society induction ceremonies. It just happened this year. Like 2 high schools asked me to go. I was like, what the hell am I supposed to read in Spanish? But so I actually decided to. I looked at the concept of like what it's taking for these students to be inducted into an honor society that like teaches and supports the teaching of another language in a state that in less than 100 years used to expel students for speaking another language in school. And so I took that route and explained to them the first time that I encountered racism was when I was 5 and barely English. Lágrimas de mi barrio. I play around orange dirt outside the house, small open lot, a mound. The grain of it gets under my nails, grits itself along my back. I trek it, get English lessons daily from the mouth of a girl, blonde, green little eyes, teaches me play, sky, daddy, bar, angry, secret, hide, seek. We do this for weeks. It is the first time I have ever seen a white girl. First time I ever feel English in my ears. I cannot say her name, her father's name. Him at the bar next door, a blonde mustache. The girl and I play hide, seek for a bit that day, until I lose her. I run up and down the Kaitlin. Excuse me, alley, say alley. Between the bar, my yellow house. She teaches me yellow, teaches me house, teaches me shh. Her father comes outside to find her. He comes, he screams at me, the alley, I say, and he leaves. I know she is not there. I look, the mound, climb and seek, catch the edge of her shoe in a bush, laugh, you there. She comes out laughing, her father behind grabs her, a talon around snakeskin arms, pulls her away. I hear him say something I do not understand, the something. I go inside, speak to my mother, her washing the dishes, the singing a tune, drops of Cornelio Reina. I ask, Ama, ¿qué quiere decir wetback? She stops washing. She looks in the air, a crack in the ceiling. She laughs, takes off her yellow gloves. She kneels down on the ground. A tear fills one eye. It does not fall. Cleans the dirt from her hands, says, Mijito de mi vida, it is what they call smart boys who want to leave this desgraciado barrio. Thank you.
Just tell Lupe Mendez, when I grow up, I want to be just like you.
You're taller than me.
Thank you. My dear Kaitlin, soon as the return to us, return.
Hey y'all. I've got two last poems for you. These are a little bit more towards the adult side to it. And this first one is called Speak in Tongues. It was in her mouth I learned the precise shape for honeycombs. A deep gluttony from Mississippi drawl. I want to tell him this, like I want to tell him every story I still don't remember about growing up. How he listens like a priest. When I left Italy, we spoke only of the part of me he could see. There are women always in conflict. I could have just said this. Like I could have just seen my own mama, what happened to her in our own house. All the story that came after. I don't know when I started. I burnt every word I was raised in to offer a dead painter a dead crown. No one told me mouths are the know of knowing, that countries of ourselves overwrite ourselves wherever possible. Why was no one ever mentioned? Each wave as trying to escape one another. Tell them I used to run towards them. 15 minutes from a dissolved house in the south, which rumor has it still stands. Somebody's mother screaming inside. This last poem is called Epitaph as My Mother's Daughter. There is no beach that is not my mother. There are no stars that are not unshaken disasters. no disasters that aren't unlatched stars. Waves deploy like her fists. This is where it comes from. This rhythm of fall that breaks into less than cosmetic parts. There is no lipstick on the wind, in the air on the wind. She never hit me hard enough to break my face. We broke forward, we break forward. I'm sorry, the world makes more sense together. Thank you.
That's how I'm feeling right now inside. Whenever you read that. 12 lines, right? 12 lines. While we wait, after the reading, following the reading, we will have afterwards, in which we get to eat and chat with poets, and right. So please join us. We'll be at the Vietnamese restaurant. I don't know who selected this. We'll be at the Vietnamese restaurant across the street called Dakao, D-A-K-A-O. It's right across the street, but I'll mention it again before we leave. And now, Jeremy Eugene.
Thank you all. Grateful that I get to be here one more time. Thank you, David, for that poem. You mentioned one of my biggest inspirations, Angela Davis, and yeah, she has a book, Freedom is a Constant Struggle, connecting the Black Lives Matter movement to Palestine. And Paulina mentioned that someone had read a poem before and apologized for bringing up something in the past, and you said, no, it's important for us to keep things in memory, and so that made me want to read this poem that I'm going to share with you all. This is the angriest poem that I've ever written. It is about how I was very heavily involved in the campaign to get justice for Sandra Bland, and something happened to me one day that I decided to write a poem about. It's called Space. Tell me how much space a black body takes up. How much room to keep the dead in memory. I thought it was a small space, a square inch of the nation, a few minutes of time, probably the same size as the space in your brain that makes whole lives go missing after a year. Somebody told us we were wrong last night. While standing in the last spot where Sandra Bland was a free woman, we, 7 students, poised to broadcast one of Sandy's 5-minute inspirational videos on the side of the church because even in her hometown, most people don't know that Sandra was more than a black woman who backtopped an officer, but she was a light who shined every single day. And a man in a pickup truck drives by, our ode to the fallen. This woman reduced to picture frame roses and dusty teddy bears yelling, "White lives matter too, Donald Trump for president." And you know what needs to happen? Someone needs to teach me how to omnipresent, how to have all the space, even those that don't exist anymore. Teach me how to profoundly declare war on the already dead, to see a broken kingdom as something to break further. Somebody teach me how to bite a mouth closed. You said I know how already? You think a black mouth can shout a brick wall down? Yes, we black activists have podiums. Yes, and you make all the noise that never leaves the rally. It goes in one black ear, out another black mouth. We siphoners of our own shouts. We bullhorns in a Grand Canyon. You teach me no. Teach me no time for you. No is the answer. The answer is no. There is no yours. There is only mine. It is always mine. Teach all of me how to always have all the space. You have figured this out. You are in life, in passing, in mourning, in resurrection. You do this all with such ease. I think you've forgotten what embarrassment is. Did you know I cannot feel entitled to your house? Did you know if I tried to, shame would evict me? Teach me how to bury shame deeper than a black body goes. Teach me to snuff out the ghost and the time traveler in a single statement, to make mute of those who can no longer speak through their own mouths. Make my entire timeline a roll of black levitate. I want to rob the night of itself, to become a scorched gray policy disguised as an everlasting light. I want to be a sun so spiteful I would snarl at a candlelight already blown out, to learn breed so strong it will take even your absence. Yes, I want to be the black hole and its recipients. Teach me how to make everything mine, to stop raising my own echo, to dance on the dead and claim my feet were here first. The very least you owe me is this lesson. You pray that I am a bad student.
Yeah!
Thanks, Phil. And I want to end with a bit of a love poem. Knowing how the story ends, the God inside says, never start. The villain will not make amends. The plot will tear your world apart. The God inside says, let it lie. But the man inside says, no. Our hearts demand a stronger try. Humanity won't let this go. We cannot hover it from above and say that love is what this is. For what we've done cannot mean love in any of our languages. The hands that I lace fingers with may turn up bloody when in blood. The sprite, the breath, the depth, the width. It's better to have lost and loved. Thanks.
My sincerest appreciation to our featured readers today. And to those who read during open mic, sometimes these readings, I do not know the course that they would go, but they have a way of always having, if not a theme, then a commonality, and that is the urgency of the past, of the injustices that are still calling out to us, but also from these three educators right here, the willingness of our young students, our young poets, our young writers to continue to contend with those. And that means there's hope, and that means there's hope for change. I would like to also thank our partner, Houston Public Library. Justin, all the way from Central Library, you came all the way here. I heard that you were cutting off cars on 610 and all that just to be here with your sound system, setting this up. So thank you. I hope that you will join us for afterwards at the Cow, D-A-K-A-O restaurant at 1177 8 Bel Air Street to eat, to chat with poets, and to commune. We need that as writers to sharpen one another. Of course, information concerning Real Poetry Festival in April is on our table. There's also information about our featured poets from today, our upcoming online reading on March 30th, our electronic newsletter, and other programs. You can visit our table or visit publicpoetry.net. If you've enjoyed this reading, you would like us to come back to A-Leaf, send us a DM, send us an email, come up and say, that was wonderful, come back, right? We would love to talk to you afterwards. And again, truly grateful for your presence here. Thank you very much. Cheers. Frank would like to do a group photo, so why don't we get a group photo and then poets will get a picture, right? Oh, yeah, yes. Everyone just step. Where shall I be? I'll be. Yeah.
Stopping the live stream.